All right, so tomorrow is Election Day, and the unions are doing everything they can to make sure their candidates come out on top. And here's how it works. Unions pick the key issues, then they find the candidates that back those issues, and then there's pressure on the members to vote for those candidates, and there's also a lot of money spent in between. And when it comes to pressuring members into voting a certain way, here's just an example of how it would work. I can't tell you where I got this from, and I can't tell you who gave it to me, but this was posted by a time clock in a union shop. Now, here's the version from the New Jersey branch of the AFL-CIO, the one they posted online so you could see. There you go. It's a little bit better than this. This is just a black and white printout. It's got a side-by-side comparison on where New Jersey Democrat gubernatorial candidate Barbara Buono and current Republican Governor Chris Christie stand on certain issues. The problem is that some of the things that Buono listed, she wouldn't be able to affect or address even if she were elected governor, like shipping jobs overseas. I mean, first of all, she wouldn't be able to prevent a company from doing that. Come on. The bill's main goal of this right here, S2188, requires employer notification when relocating call center services outside the United States. So it wouldn't actually stop a business from moving overseas, and the bill only applies to call center employers. All it really does is fine a business if they fail to provide notification to a government agency. Joining me to talk about this is Greg Murad, National Right to Work Committee Vice President. I got this given to me by someone who was very upset to see it by their time clock. One of the other things here, it says, under Governor Chris Christie, net property taxes have risen 20%. That's done at the local level by public sector unions. So, I don't know where Barbara Buono is getting this stuff to use in this campaign flyer.
Well, it's never been my experience that the unions feel particularly bound by the truth when they're putting out this sort of material. Their theory and their mantra is win at all costs, and if the truth is a casualty, they are usually fine with that.
But, telling union members that a governor of a state could somehow prevent jobs from going overseas, that's silly.
It is silly. It is very silly, and it shows the low opinion that they have of their members and the public at large. But their goal is to sway the election by any way they can, and they will spend any amount of money to do it, and they will tell any amount of mistruths to do it.
The other funny thing is about some of these issues that she has on this flyer is that it doesn't give any explanation as to why some of these things may have been vetoed. Let's see, we have women's health care funding. I don't even know why that would be an issue for union workers, but okay. Apparently Buono supported it and Christie vetoed it. We don't even know why or what the issue was, but they just give you this real short, one-sentence version, and you're supposed to say, well, I'm not going to vote for him over this.
Yeah, that's pretty much the way they operate. And what's truly appalling about it is the amount of their members' money they spend on that. And that is money that is confiscated from people's paychecks. Whether they want to support the union or not, whether they believe in the union's politics or not, they are in New Jersey, they are forced to pay union dues to have their job. And as a result, the union has got this virtually unlimited forced dues pipeline to fund garbage like this.
I can't speak for the Virginia gubernatorial race, but I live in New Jersey, and it started about 6 to 8 months after Christie got elected. All of the unions were running these anti-Christie ads, especially the NJEA, the teachers union. And I thought, you're just spending dues payer money. He's not even up for re-election. This is like less than a year after he got elected. And they just spent and spent and spent and spent on this anti-Christie publicity campaign. I'm not a union member, but if I was, I would be very upset at my dues money going to that sort of thing.
No, that's exactly right. And they're doing the same thing in Virginia. Now, Virginia is a right-to-work state, so at least there, the only people who are forced to pay for it actually choose to be members of the union. But even that is small consolation because they're not just spending Virginia money. It's the national AFL-CIO pouring money into both of these states. Again, making use of their ability to force people to pay dues across the country and then funneling that money into their political agenda however they see fit.
Well, the funny thing is, Christie, I think, is up by 9 points right now. I don't see this as even a close race, but they're spending a lot of money, even if it looks like a lost cause.
Yeah, that's right. Part of it, I think, is that they want to sway the state assembly campaigns as well as the governor's race, and of course they want to hurt Christie as much as they can.
I just, I know that a lot of union members don't want to hear you talk about right-to-work laws, but, I mean, the only thing a right-to-work law does is make union membership optional. I mean, if they're wasting your money time and time again, taking from the pension funds, taking from the health care funds for their own political crusades, I mean, it should be an option for everyone, whether or not we want to join a union.
That's exactly right. Right, it's a little-known fact. Right to work actually makes for better unions because the unions have some level of accountability. The union officials have some level of accountability. The rank and file know when the union boss is a crook. They know when they're stealing money. They know when they're misdirecting money, and they know when they're just plain incompetent. And if the members had the ability to stop funding an out-of-control or an incompetent union leadership, you wouldn't have out-of-control or incompetent union leadership.
Isn't it funny to listen to some, for this is AFL-CIO. I mean, I know they have private and public sector workers, but whenever I hear private sector workers complain about their property taxes going up or they're playing on property taxes going up, there's only one reason why those property taxes are going up the way that they do, and New Jersey has some of the highest in the country.
That's exactly right. The fact is, the whole union monopoly bargaining system was designed for the private sector. It was never meant for the government sector. In fact, longtime union stalwarts, even George Meany, the former head of the AFL-CIO back in the day, thought it was unthinkable to unionize government workers. Who are they organizing against? They're organizing against the public. It just doesn't make any sense. The whole model was designed for competing interests on opposite sides of a bargaining table. When they can elect their own bosses and create the forced dues pipeline, and to keep that cycle going, they end up on both sides of the bargaining table just fleecing the taxpayer year after year after year, more and more and more.
And we get Detroit. I mean, that was the demise of Detroit. Most of the workers were working for either Ford or Chrysler or GM. They all had friends and family members and union boss relatives that were in the public sector unions, and one hand washed the other hand until they ran out of soap and water.
That's exactly right, and it's not just Detroit. It's cities across California and all across Michigan. Illinois is on the brink of insolvency now. This is a crisis everywhere that the unions have been given control over public sector workers.
How many stories do you guys? Because a lot of workers. I mean, like I said, I can't tell you where this flyer came from. A lot of union workers feel intimidated by some of the political activities of their union, especially in a state where we're always fighting over Second Amendment issues. I'm sure they're going to come to Virginia if Terry McAuliffe gets elected. There are people that may like the collective bargaining protection their unions give them, but don't like every other. I mean, there's a bunch of social issues on here about gender pay or women's health care, and there's something about hospital services. I mean, what does this have to do with the safe working conditions and wages on the job? But knowing that you've got these union workers right where you want them, that you pretty much control their employment, you can get them to sign on to just about anything.
That is often the case, and they will often tell lies or mislead or various other underhanded things to get people to sign their authorization cards, to be a part of, to do anything they can to make it look like rank and file workers are actually interested in supporting union, when the truth of the matter is it just isn't so. And
we're seeing this in some of the right-to-work states in the South with the Volkswagen plants. They feel duped, but that's a topic for another day. Thanks for joining us, Greg.
Yeah, thanks for having me.